When the pain grows, anything goes. Devil is alive, looking for the prize. That's eternal life, and bringing the things in my mind. I'm talking real peace of mind. That's something money can't buy.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your boy KingMarcell, and we back with another video. So since the assassination attempt on Trump, he has went on and became the nominee for the Republicans to become the president, and shit just seems like it's at a all-time high tense level that I never thought in my lifetime we would be experiencing, but yet here we are. The video we are about to check out is the top 6 suspicious factors of Donald Trump assassination attempt, and it's a lot of them. It's way more than 6. As I'm learning more about the information that's going on, man, a lot of people are trying to make it seem like this kid acted on his own volition, but it doesn't look like that's the case, man. They really don't. If you have any type of brain in your head and you peep how this shit went down, it's just very, very fishy. So we about to look into those fishy things that's been going on with you know what I'm saying, the investigation so far. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. We on the road to 100 subscribers, so make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. We've been hitting for 100 subscribers for a minute, man. Let this be the video where we make it to 100 subscribers right here, man. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys want me to react to on the channel. But without further ado, let's get right into this. We're gonna go big screen with this one.
Crooks.
We have more questions than answers right now surrounding the horrifying shooting of former President Donald Trump and others at a rally in Pennsylvania. From the motivation of the identified shooter to how this even happened, we're going to break down these issues with retired FBI agent and attorney Bobby Chacon. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Take a look at so that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
That shit is crazy. Did a bullet hit that? I didn't never see that part.
We still have a lot of unanswered
What the
questions
fuck?
in
That
the
should've
aftermath
never,
on the attempted
like,
assassination
be normal
of
to
former
see. That
President
shit's
Donald Trump
crazy.
from this past Saturday, and we want to talk about it. This is a horrific shooting
It's
that left
very
the Republican
horrific.
nominee for president with a damaged ear, 2 people critically injured, 57-year-old David Dutch, 74-year-old James Copenhaver, although now they are in stable condition. And sadly, this also led to the death of firefighter 50-year-old Corey Comptor, who was apparently shielding his family from the gunfire when he was killed. It's just heartbreaking to think about what happened here. And authorities, they have identified the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, a Pennsylvania resident. As
Like,
we
why do
reported on
all of these guys who do this shit, man? All of these guys who do this shit, they all look like some fucking, like, and I promise y'all, I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. I'm not trying to be out of pocket, racist, anything like that. But they look like a fucking mutation. Like they was created in a lab somewhere just to do this shit. Cause come on, like what? Come on. Why do all of the shooters be looking like this? Like it'd be crazy. Like they all got this look about them that's like, it's not normal, man. And again, I hear that the kid got bullied and all that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm talking as from a standpoint of seeing these shootings happen, from school shootings to people going in grocery stores. They always have this look. I'm not gonna say what I was just about to say. It's just weird to me. That's just something that I've
Previous
noticed,
sidebar on
man.
the shooting. Reporting indicates Crooks was a loner, had been bullied in school. He had tried but failed to make his school's rifle team because apparently he was a bad shot. The FBI currently leading up this investigation, looking into this shooting. And at this point, reporting indicates the shooter had used an AR-style weapon, a .556 rifle. Reporting indicates that the firearm was purchased legally by Crooks' father, although it's not clear how he was actually able to gain access to the gun. The shooter was positioned about 130 to 150 yards away on a nearby roof, this seemingly on the outside perimeter of that rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. The shooing took place about 6 minutes.
It's like, come on, like that's the thing that's just tripping me out about all of this is that, again, I would say this over and over again. They are supposed to be at these event locations a week or two or more ahead of schedule, surveilling, trying to see if people are staking out the place as if they have the president's itinerary. That's like, I feel like that should just be standard. That should be like no-brainer things, man. But I guess it was some no-brains there,
and
man.
after the shooting, law enforcement discovered rudimentary explosives in Crooks' car that was parked near the rally. This included an apparent IED. They also discovered bomb-making materials in his home as well. And apparently Crooks also had a remote-controlled detonator on his body as well. So it makes you think about how much more destructive and lethal this event could have been. But we have so many unanswered questions about what led up to this shooting.
It's a whole bunch that's unanswered, man.
And so with that, I want to bring on right now retired FBI agent and attorney Bobby Chacon to talk more about it. Bobby, thanks so much for coming on. First, let me just say, tell our audience why it's so important that the FBI is taking the lead on this investigation.
Well, first of all, the FBI has a lead on all investigations involving assassinations or attempted assassinations of presidents or any other federal authority, federal official. That's the FBI's jurisdiction. That's what we do. Here, we're talking about two kind of separate investigations that people shouldn't confuse. One is of the shooter, his actions, how he got to do it. The other is the internal Secret Service or government, more government-wide investigation.
Not to say it like that, and it's not me trying to stir up any trouble, trying to, you know what I'm saying, fearmonger or anything like that. But for something like this to have gone on, like, come on, what are we talking about? This had to be an inside job. If it was, why the fuck will we be trusting the FBI to handle this properly? Especially after everything that has come out, after motherfuckers been testifying against this man and everything. How we expect them to take this seriously? How we expect the CIA to? How do we expect any of them to? When it's seeming like loyalties are to something else other than the people of the United States. And again, this ain't a fearmonger, man. This is just me making my own observations of what's the climate and what's going on. It's a lot of fuckery, man.
Into the security lapses. Those are two separate investigations. Secret Service is left to do their own internal audit about how this happened. The FBI is just looking at the shooter, his motivations, and how he was able to carry it out up until the point, you know, he pulled that trigger. So those are two separate issues. They kind of do overlap and merge a little bit, but the FBI is always in charge of any investigation of violence towards government officials.
Hey everybody, we're going to get back to this historic story in just a minute, but I want to thank our incredible sponsor here on Sidebar who helps make this show happen, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Look, if you should find yourself in that...
Maybe shine on that, huh?
In the neighborhood, every delivery is a treat.
You don't want to help us with the shout out, sir. You gonna get the other ad.
Other agency doesn't?
Well, I think so. I mean, we're the largest government agency in terms of a budget, and well, the CIA has a bigger budget, but I'm talking about manpower, the number of agents, and the budget we have for investigations. Sure, we're the largest federal agency to do that. Other, DEA focused on drugs, ATF on guns, but we cover everything. So the FBI does have that
Notice
broader
he said other than the FBI,
and therefore,
the FBI gets more
broader
than
resources.
Let me ask you the most basic question when we talk about unanswered questions. Why, if it's true that he is the shooter, Mr. Crooks, why would he purportedly do this? And how important is determining motive here? Because I think that's an important point, right? How important is it to understand the motivation surrounding it? And what could the possible motivation be here?
Well, I mean, Jesse, look, without any political assassination or attempted assassination that this is, there's an implied motivation. He wanted Donald Trump dead because he didn't want Donald Trump to become the next president. I think that's kind of an implied thing. I mean, he might have hated Donald Trump for other reasons, but it's hard to see that.
It's just the fact that the narrative, we don't know what it was yet. That's my whole thing. And it's the fact that a narrative is already being shaped as if we do, as if they do. This nigga don't know. He ain't a part of the investigation. He's retired. He's not a part of this shit. So why is it just being led off as, oh, it's just this kid? When everything that suspicious has happened with it is giving us a reason to think otherwise, that this kid acted alone. That I heard people even say that a ladder was used for him to get on top of the building. They said that they can't even find a fucking ladder. How the fuck can't they find a ladder? Who the fuck moved it? Because he died on that motherfucking roof. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of weird shit going on. An officer saw him and just ducked and ran away. And like, come on, this shit sounds
took this action
fucking
for any other reason other than he wanted to
man.
stop Donald Trump from becoming the next president.
Like, what?
I mean, he might have had a grievance with Trump for other past actions that Trump may have taken while he was president the first time. But this is a political assassination, and normally those things have that implied motive of you want to stop this person's political ambitions.
Well, this is why it's strange, because CNN is reporting that investigators have kind of hit a roadblock. They've been looking at his phone, they've been looking at his computer searches, they've searched the home, they've interviewed friends, family, and they can't piece together a definitive motive. There's reportedly nothing out of the ordinary. They find an interest in coding and gaming. But they can't seem to find any kind of political ideation, any religious motivation, nothing, no clue that would lead anybody to suspect he was about to do this. Do you find that very unusual to see that?
Yes, very.
It is very, because like I said, along with the implied motivation of a political assassination or attempted assassination, you do normally find a lot of political ideology in the person's lifestyle.
So if that's the case that they're not finding those things, why is the narrative being shaped that it's that he was a Republican, even though he donated to the Democrats? You feel? It's so many things that's off. He donated actual funds to the Democrats, but registered as a Republican. Was that to be a throw off? Like, come on, I need y'all just to think a little bit, man, about what a lot of these people doing. I don't want to say what side of the aisle I really think is perpetuating this shit, because I feel like both of them to a certain extent is evil as Democrats and as evil as Republicans, but I feel like it's mainly the Democrats that have literally brainwashed the fuck out of people and got us thinking one way and thinking that this bitch is one way, and it's totally not. And they on some fuck shit. Once you study politics, man, and I know a lot of motherfuckers gonna be like, oh, you a coon ass nigga for saying that, this and that, and that's that fucking brainwashing talking. Because I'm asking y'all to do a little bit of research on the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. Y'all will find out that literally black people created the Republican Party. The Democrats were the main people. The Democrats were the one who started the KKK. this is literally shit you can look up. Like, not spewing hatred, I will never do that on this channel. I just want to bring you all facts, and I believe, like, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, that what I've just said to you all is 1,000% fact, because it's documented. The Democrats started the KKK, so why the fuck would I, as a black man? So, like, knowing that now, how the fuck could the party that created the KKK somehow over 100 years later is now the main party that so-called African Americans are a part of? Like, you can't make this shit up. Please do a little bit of research.
As a conversation with people and as association with people and organizations. And so normally they are ideologues and they are hell-bent on carrying out an act of violence, a political act of violence. It's normally very apparent from looking at their background. And here they're not finding that. So, there's that, and like I said, there's an implied motivation, but it could be, he was just out for fame. But oftentimes we also see indications of that in his background. He wanted to become famous because, because killing Trump obviously would make him famous. Or, because we had different motivations. When Hinckley shot Reagan, it was because his fascination with Jodie Foster. It thought he would maybe be famous. The person that killed John Lennon actually was a big John Lennon fan. So sometimes these people have these ideas in their head that this act, I'm going to carry out this act, and then I would be viewed as this other person or in this way. So, that's more of a mental health expert question. Like, could it, and what is in his background might indicate that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a political motivated attack normally has some kind of a narrative. He would be more active politically, either online or in person, and we're just not finding that right now.
And it could be that he also potentially had a grudge against other people at the rally, because if you take it, obviously the number of shots
all
that
these
were fired,
hypotheticals.
Injured,
that's what. It's the fact that it's all of these hypotheticals that they're saying, but then the main hypothetical that should be said, I'm not hearing none of these motherfuckers say it. And my thing is that as journalists, as people who are on the news, as reporters, that's why I say I think they stopped being reporters and journalists a long time ago, and they became government agents as well. Because it's like they can't get on here and speak their true minds about what the fuck is going on. Because everybody and their mama feel like this was an inside job, and that elements of the government damn near had something to do with it. I'm not fucking crazy for saying that. Y'all not crazy for thinking it and saying it amongst each other. The shit ain't right. It's smelling shitty as fuck. A lot of this shit over the past couple of years has been wild. The whole COVID thing. And now everybody trying to act like that shit never happened. I find that shit so disturbing. That we went through something like COVID. We was locked in our homes. They was forcing motherfuckers to quit jobs, and if they didn't want to get the vaccine, and then just a couple years later, yeah, everybody acting like it never happened. It's like, how much longer are we finna keep letting the manipulation that's happening continue?
And if the explosives in the car, which he could potentially have detonated and harmed a lot more people, it's difficult to know who the exact target was or why. But here's the thing, if you were to watch him before this, you'd say something was up with this guy. Why? Because CNN is also reporting that Crooks had visited a shooting range the day before the rally. Apparently he was a member there. Then goes to a Home Depot where he purchases a ladder. Then goes to a local gun store in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, buys 50 rounds of ammunition. Apparently drives to the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, parks the car, uses the ladder to get to the roof of the adjacent American Glass Research Building, sets up and opens fire. So, Bobby, when we talk about what his motivation was, and we see law enforcement trying to set up a timeline here, what do you take away from that?
My friends laughed when I said I was going to start selling things on Amazon, but a few years later, look where I am living. And
he got the go, and then he did. That's what it's seeming like. He got the go ahead and he conducted his mission. Like on some fucking Jason Bourne type shit. Like literally, that's what it sounded like to me.
The young man was very determined. It clearly he's determined to carry out this attack with all of these steps he's taking. What we call pre-event planning and pre-event activity, which begs the question on why we're not seeing more rhetoric, more associations in his background that would have led somebody to believe that he was going to do this, because he's a pretty determined individual, as your description rightly spells out. And so someone that determined is so motivated, it's hard not to think that, you wouldn't see some motivation of that in other parts of his life, either online or talking to friends or mentioning something to family members. If he was able to keep all of this rage and carrying a gun to a rooftop and shooting into a crowd, and practicing the day before, I mean, you are determined. There's a lot of rage there, and to have that rage not manifest itself in prior behavior or prior acts or prior discussions is really unusual.
At the time of this recording, Bobby, no evidence about how he knew how to make explosive devices. That's not an easy thing. And again, if they haven't found searches online where he, talk about how to make these devices, I find that weird too.
So that's not even in his search history. So how the fuck does he know how to make explosives? If this kid didn't teach himself how to make explosives, where the fuck did he learn how to make explosives from? This is what I'm saying. Like, come on. There's more and more I hear about this shit, the more and more I think this kid was damn near the future Jason Bourne. They tried to make this nigga the future Jason Bourne. Because the people that y'all think will be spies, nah, it's the people, it's people like this. It's the people that don't be seen. They go unnoticed. And this is what I'm trying to get y'all to see, man. This shit does not sound right. It just don't sound right, man.
Yeah, that's the first thing I would think of. Look at a search history. Is he searching Google for how to make an IED or something like that? Now, I mean, our guys are digging into it. Our forensic examiners, our computer forensic examiners are good at that. So, if he was able to use, this was a young man. He knows computers. He's of the age that he grew up with them. And so, if he was using some kind of, dark web to hide his search histories and stuff, our guys usually find that stuff. And so hopefully something like that happens, because I don't know where, I mean, unless you somehow got a hold of a bomb making manual, and I don't know how you do that either. Obviously stuff's readily available on the internet, which leaves a trail. If you're not finding that trail, I don't know how a 20-year-old young man without prior military training or any kind of training would know to get those things and how to even crudely assemble them.
Exactly, unless he got specific training from the government. That's the thing. I'm gonna say what they don't want to say for some reason. It seems like this nigga has some type of training to do this shit. When y'all find out, when you read certain CIA documents, they tell you that they start training there. A lot of these agents are trained as children. And raised to be spies. Is all they know. This kid's only 20, and it seemed like they sent him on a hit that he was there now not ready for. That's what it's starting to sound like more and more. Because again, it's no rhetoric left. No clear affiliation to the politics, or even anything saying that he basically even cared about the fucking election this deep to the point where he would kill somebody, let alone the president over. It's not adding up unless he was given. Y'all ever seen that movie Salt? They give him them damn code words, and then that nigga activated.
Again, at the time of this recording, we haven't seen evidence of how he figured out how to do that unless he searched it somewhere else, not on his own devices. But you mentioned there's two parts of this, right? So there's two parts of it. There's what do we know about the shooter, the suspected shooter, and what do we know about the shooting itself and why it happened? That's the second part, and that's what I want to talk about. Because there are a lot of questions, and there are a lot of questions that have been put on the Secret Service. The spotlight has been put on the Secret Service. There's an investigation not just by the FBI, Congress, Department of Homeland Security, and the first question is, how was this American Glass research building, where crooks purportedly shot from, why was it not secured, Bobby?
Literally,
it had a
why
line of
wasn't it
sight
secure?
to where Trump
That
would be
doesn't make
speaking.
sense at all.
Isn't there an advance team to check this out?
Done that, and they were probably there on the ground, I don't know, a week or 10 days in advance as the usual. And they would have, anybody, you know, that does threat assessments would have seen that as a vulnerability, that high
Very
ground
suspicious.
with direct line of sight, not that far a distance. You don't have to be an expert marksman to hit somebody with a rifle from that distance.
Literally.
And so it's really, the $1 million question is how, first of all, how the perimeter wasn't set out further, why that building wasn't part of the inner perimeter.
How,
anybody getting to that building would have to go through security checks through the magnetometers. That's the first thing. Why wasn't that included in the outer perimeter? It was a very tight perimeter. And the second is, even if it's outside the perimeter,
Mayor Anthony Copeland and the city of East Chicago present Fusion Fest, a fusion of food, music.
And so it's really the $1 million question is how, first of all, how the perimeter wasn't set out further, why that building wasn't part of the inner perimeter, that anybody getting to that building would have to go through security checks through the magnetometers. That's the first thing. Why wasn't that included in the outer perimeter? It was a very tight perimeter. And the second is, even if it's outside the perimeter, and make no mistake, Secret Service, and I've worked with them on different events, they come in and they take, I mean, what they say goes. When you have a former president or a current president, they are, you know, they don't play well with others. They pretty much set the rules. And if they told local police officers, look, that's outside the perimeter, but we want your guys on top of that because they, you know, they lend resources, then the cops would have had somebody on top of that. Now, what we heard from the Secret Service director, I think, in an interview, was that they had people inside the building. They were securing. You don't secure a building from the inside. Not a short building like that. And this is not the Texas School Book Depository, so you can't secure it from the inside.
It, of course.
I mean,
and if you're going to have citation
of that building for any adversary,
but it needs to be somebody on top as well.
And so you had to have people up there.
Yeah.
The fact that it was slope, the service inspector even said it was slope, so there was a safety factor. No, it wasn't sloped that much, number one. Number two, friends of mine who are snipers, they're trained to get themselves into very uncomfortable situations and stay there for long periods of time.
And by the way, the Secret Service snipers were on a slope roof that day. So that's the question.
Exactly.
But here's the thing I don't understand. Wouldn't the shooter have had to have known beforehand where the best position to set up was to kill Donald Trump and had to assume that that building wouldn't be secure? Otherwise, he'd be going in, there's no way I'd be able to set up there. I'm sure it's going to be blocked off. I'm sure there's going to be people out there. It was almost as if he knew that was where to set up.
Yeah, that's the question that I had, and I hope obviously the investigation is probably looking into that, whether or not he did even more pre-events.
To the point they're saying he bought a fucking ladder. How did you know the specific height specs for any other roofs there, let alone that one in particular? You knew to get that size of ladder to get you onto that roof specifically. Like you knew it wasn't going to be anyone on it. And we are about to keep saying, and again, that same ladder is gone. That's what I'm hearing. They can't find the ladder now because that shit's fishy as fuck. How would he know? People were screaming for almost 3 minutes about the sniper. None of them did anything.
Surveillance. Was he there when they were doing the survey? Was he there the day or two before so he could see where the perimeter was being set up? And he knew that building was outside the security perimeter. So yes, and the fact that he brought a ladder leads me to believe that he knew somebody might not be up there, and that's disturbing to me because that stuff that's why it should be inside the security perimeter. That's why that stuff should be remain kind of secret.
He ain't saying what need to be said. How the fuck it's disturbing because then it's like, did they help him? Did they know? Was they all in on it? The Secret Service. Because the Secret Service works for Biden. They get their orders from Biden.
Also, I've heard reports that people saw him kind of acting strange outside the magnetometer. So I wonder if he actually had the thought of, maybe I could get in, maybe I could sneak in. Let's see what kind of security they're thinking. Maybe I can get into the perimeter. And when he realized he couldn't, then went back and retrieved the ladder. And maybe this was kind of a backup plan. I don't know.
Interesting. I'll get to that in a second. I want to go back to this building in terms of who's securing it, because we're getting kind of this. Everybody's pointing the finger at one another. Because was it local law enforcement who was supposed to secure it? Was it Secret Service? And I say that because Secret Service spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi said that it was the Butler Township Police Department and the Butler County Sheriff's Office job to secure that building. But the Butler County DA, Richard Goldlinger, told NBC News they had meetings in the week prior. The Secret Service ran the show. They were the ones who designed who did what. In the command hierarchy, they were top, they were number one. To me, the whole thing is under the jurisdiction of the Secret Service, and they will delineate from there. So who was in charge of securing the building, Bobby? Was it Secret Service or local law enforcement?
Well, like he said, and I agree with him, Secret Service is in charge of the entire security apparatus, and they coordinate stuff. So, in other words, if they wanted somebody on that roof and they didn't have the manpower, they would have assigned, okay, Butler County or whoever, or state police, whoever, you've got to be on that roof. And they would be part of the plan. And what normally you do is before the protectee even arrives on scene, you go down your checklist. Is this done? Is that done? Hey, there's nobody on that roof. This person's supposed to be on the roof. Where are they? That's Secret Service. They should be going down their checklist and going, okay, that roof needs to be secured. It's part of the plan. I don't see anybody up there. You have to go. It's like a pilot going through a checklist pre-flight. You go through your checklist and you go down all the vulnerabilities. That roof needs to be covered. There's nobody up there. Where are they? The protectee is not coming out until the person's on that roof. Now, who is supposed to be on there? I don't know, but Secret Service certainly was in charge of making sure whoever that was.
It didn't even have to be another sniper. It just had to be somebody to make sure no one else got on the roof easily. They would have to make a ruckus to get on that roof. They would have had to shoot at the officer or something first, which would have gave away what was going on, and it would have stopped the assassination attempt. Not saying that the officer should have got shot or anything like that, but again, y'all chose your job. Y'all chose what y'all doing. Y'all was security detail. Someone was supposed to guard the roof. It's
up there
it's
before
like,
the protectee comes out.
Obvious.
And even if it's outside the perimeter, shouldn't they keep a careful eye on that building throughout, right?
Exactly.
I mean, the idea of even if it's outside the perimeter, you don't have to go through a magnetometer necessarily to get in there. Shouldn't that be a place where you station at least one person, or you have your snipers keep a central eye on it? I'm sure they're looking past 130, 150 yards, but if that's a building so close, shouldn't that have been remain a focus?
There should be somebody up there, whether it was state police, Butler County, or Secret Service. Secret Service was in charge of making sure somebody was up there, no matter who was supposed to be up there. And I would like to look at their operational plan and see who they assigned to be up there. And then prior to the protectee coming on stage, why the checklist wasn't looked at and said, there's somebody missing up on that roof. We need to get somebody on that roof. We're not bringing them out until that's done. Now, I think that when you look at the video of the counter sniper who took the shot, they're looking in the direction of that building. And I'm pretty sure that's because they're hearing radio traffic saying somebody's on the roof, because there was some chaotic situation over there. You saw the video of people saying, a woman saying, he's on the roof, he's got a gun. I'm sure that was put over comms. When you look at that roof, it's sloped away. And I don't think the counter sniper guys could actually see the shooter yet. He was crawling up. He was on his belly. And then what happened was, an officer confronted him and then retreated. He turned around with his rifle towards the officer. What that did was make the guy move quicker. Then he popped up really fast over that peak and started shooting. That's when the guy on the sniper's person, because you see them looking there and they're probably saying, I see the roof.
Crooked Joe Biden just joined Barack Obama for a star-studded fundraiser in Hollywood, folks. He raised over
that point.
I don't see anybody. I see the roof. I don't see anybody. That's because he's behind that slight roof, and then he pops up, and then he starts firing, and then they fire back.
Just to amplify that a little bit and explain what we're talking about, because the next question is, Crooks was apparently spotted there. There were reports that he was acting strange near security. There were other accounts that people saw him with the rifle beforehand. There were others who said they saw him scaling the building, that they alerted law enforcement. In fact, it was being reported that Secret Service was alerted to watch him. And the Butler County Sheriff, Michael Sloop, told CBS News that police were looking for Crooks, and they confirmed that an officer scaled the roof. Quote, all I know is the officer had both hands on the roof to get up on the roof, never made it because the shooter had turned towards the officer, and rightfully and smartly, the officer let go. I would have done the same thing. Absolutely. I mean, people think the officers are supermen, like you hold on the roof with one hand while you're hanging on for dear life and you pull a gun out. It doesn't work that way. So, Bobby, what's your take on that new development that, you know, people had apparently seen him, law enforcement had seen him. He allegedly points the gun at a member of law enforcement. Was this just rapidly happening too quickly? And, you know, there might have been an alert that someone's there, but like you said, they couldn't figure out where he was. That's the part that I think people find very strange.
It is very strange. And that should all be taken into account in the operational planning of this thing. And I've been involved in a lot. I was the special events coordinator for the FBI in Los Angeles. We coordinated security for the FBI at the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the Rose Bowl, things like that, with LAPD, with Secret Service sometimes. And so what happens, what should have happened is, and it, you know, hopefully they're on the same radio. We had this after 9/11, the interoperability of radios between fire and police and federal and stuff. And so normally, the minute somebody sees somebody inside, not even close to the perimeter with a gun, the call goes out, gun, 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 and then the protectee gets taken out. So if that call would have made, if that officer would have been able to get, somebody's on the roof with a gun, then you take before any shots are fired, before you even see the guy, take the protectee out, get him to a safe place, resolve what that is, and maybe you put him back up on stage, maybe you don't. But as soon as somebody saw somebody with a gun that wasn't accounted for, it wasn't state police, wasn't local, whatever, you didn't know who this person was with a gun.
They should have
all
been
the radios
taken
should have
out.
went off, get the protectee safe, and then address whatever that was. That wasn't done here. I don't know if it wasn't done because the timing, and like you said, it happened very quickly right after that. I don't know what
it was 3
but we
minutes.
need to, you know, see the
Trump
radio
should have been rushed
transmission
off that
logs,
stage
which
before
are
that.
recorded.
So they
We
said
need
it
to
was
match
somebody
that up with
climbing
the
the roof. They
video,
didn't know.
so
He
much
should have been
video,
rushed off
and
the
you can be able to
stage.
get almost a second by second analysis of
Simple.
who knew what when and why the word didn't go out to get him off the stage the minute they saw somebody with a gun.
Bobby, I have one more question for you. We're actually going to dedicate, I think, a separate sidebar to this, and it's about how Crooks had the weapon, right? So this AR-style rifle, apparently, as I mentioned, was purchased by his father, and it was reportedly more than 20 firearms that were registered to his father. They were kept at the family's home. We're trying to understand how he got access to it, and also, I guess the side question is whether or not his father could be legally responsible for what happened. In a similar vein, as we've talked about with the Crumbly case, what are your initial impressions on this? And again, I think we're going to explore this on another sidebar, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of guns. You know, the problem with me is not that people have the guns. It's that they don't know how to secure them or they're not willing to secure them. I know gun safes are expensive and things like that, but I have guns in my house. They're always secured. You have to keep your weapon secured. Now, the father apparently, I thought maybe had this weapon for a number of years, and the kid had access to it. There's a lot of hunting in that area. The kid belongs to a gun range. He might have been able to legally buy his own guns. I don't know. So maybe the father lent him guns to go to the range, and he's done that for a number of years. So the father had no idea. You know, the kid goes to the range all the time, maybe that's part of his hobby. People do sometimes have that hobby. And so maybe there wasn't, and like we talked about earlier, maybe there wasn't any indication on the part of the father. In the Crumbly case, you know, there are cases where the kid or the person, the child, the parent, they know, they have some indication that the kid has problems and he shouldn't have access to a gun. But here we're talking about, you know, there may not have been any indication that this 20-year-old man should not be able to borrow his father's weapon and go to the range.
All right, Bobby, thank you so much for breaking it down for us. We really appreciate it. That's all we have for you here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
And this situation, the more and more information comes out, day by day, the more suspicious it looks, man. I just hope that, again, level heads prevail. You guys let me know, do you guys think that, excuse me, let me know if you guys think, is Trump gonna be our next president? I'm not gonna lie. After that shit happened, it's looking quite good in that man's favor. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, man. Shit is crazy. But it's like, are they gonna attempt on his life again after that? Is this investigation gonna prove that something deeper did happen? Because, man, all signs are pointing to inside job, man, and that's so wild that this shit is happening right now, man. But that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you're notified whenever I do drop a video here. We on the road to 100 subscribers, so make sure you guys are dropping down in the comment section and hit that like button and that subscribe button. But with that being said, KingMarcell out. Peace. I'm tired as hell.
When the pain grows, anything goes. Devil is alive, looking for the prize. That's eternal life, and bringing the things in my mind. Talking real peace of mind. That's something money.